Rites by Hannah Kent. As inspiration for my creative writing, I have decided to use the quote, "I shall make no secret of my displeasure to you. I don't want you in my home. I don't want you near my children. I have been forced to keep you here, and you are forced to be kept." This scene explores a moment of tension between Margaret and Agnes within the early stages of the book. Whilst Kent looks at the scene from Agnes's perspective, Margaret's thoughts, views, and reasoning behind her actions are not explored in any way, rather skimmed upon. Margaret's character is one that is extremely complex. Likewise, it is shown in this scene that is one of the initial interactions between Agnes and Margaret, and is complex. Throughout the book, we witness Margaret's thoughts and opinions regarding Agnes' change. I wanted to convey the complexity of Margaret's feelings towards Agnes. That is, Agnes is quite non-threatening, so Margaret doubts whether she is actually a murderess, but resents her nonetheless for bringing scandal upon her household. I believe that through choosing this scene and Margaret, I was able to take dialogue that was recorded in the book and provide reasoning for her words, as well as explore the premature actions that ultimately lead to her radical change in attitudes, and I thought it would be interesting to chronicle the beginnings of that. I believe I was able to convey this by structuring it similar to Hannah Kent, keeping with the general flow of the scene by using larger paragraphs due to my narrative being written in third person, along with my incorporation of dialogue that is included in a way that is dialogue action, then character, as we can see from the quote scene. This successfully allows for the audience to get to know Margaret through the character development. It engages them in a way whereby Margaret's words become known and highlights the fact that her words are often not thought out, rather a rush, and come before more rationalised actions. Another strength I believe I had was my heavy use of simile, and I also believe that it kept it authentic, especially due to the fact that the similes I use relate back to something physical, paralleling what Kent does, as well as the inclusion of like in the second half of the sentence. The following similes quantify Margaret's unease in a similar way to Kent. For example, in the initial quote, highlighted, the use of the simile highlights how easily the tension lay and fell between the two, and how sensitive it was to the smallest words and actions. Further examples support this cause, and are seen on the screen. Furthermore, my relation to imagery in the form of nature, as well as streams of conscious, is a way to convey Margaret's thoughts and feelings, just as Kent does, and is a direct link to the winter Icelandic weather, which is a setting in the book, and is effectively able to convey the image of the scene to the reader, while still making that link to Margaret. The cold, wind, and weather imagery in the first quote creates a vivid image in the reader's mind of the extent of the hostility and tension between Agnes and Margaret, that is, one that is cold and bitter, similar to the Icelandic landscape that has been previously mentioned and described in the text. Likewise, this is demonstrated in the second quote. Some weaknesses that I believe I had throughout my creative piece was my inability to create new dialogue. I was unsure how to convey Margaret's voice towards Agnes, as it was developing in this stage of the book, and Margaret was facing conflicting thoughts. I focused mainly on her thought process rather, and included action dialogue in my piece in a way to ensure that Kent's writing style was still being conveyed and Margaret's voice was coming across correctly. I also lacked suitable sentence structure that is similar to Kent's. As seen in the quote highlighted, my sentences are mostly long, rather than short and long alternating. This could have impacted my flow of creative writing, and thus my overall parallel of Kent's style of writing. Burial Rites by Hannah Kent.